did my first Angel Circle webinar the other night. I hope to see there's many more. One of the women on that webinar asked me a really interesting question. She said to me, how do you go about changing somebody who you can see is struggling and having difficulty in their lives? And of course my answer to that was, you can't change somebody unless they're looking for change and they're open to having a seed planted on fertile ground. And that obviously is easier for me because I'm in the business of changing people. So they come to me and they pay me good money to have fertile ground and let me plant a seed for them that helps them to have instantaneous change. But to change somebody in your life who's not necessarily finding that they have a problem is going to be next to impossible. But it did have me bring up the story about an experience that I had with somebody who is very, very negative. And we spend quite a lot of time, my husband and I, with this person. And over the years, we've so many times been just said to her, you know, you're so negative, just, you don't have to be so negative. And she always used to say to us, but it's true, these things that I talk about, they're true. The poverty and the despair and the unhappiness and the state of the government and blah, 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 all this stuff is true. And so the one day I said to her, I mean, this is like 20 years later, right, of saying, please don't be so negative. It's so hard when you're so negative. And one day I said to her, look, here's how this actually works. And I think you guys might find this interesting, just in terms of where do you place your own attention and how does your own emotional state arise as a result. So I said, here's the scale, right? All the things in the world that are terrible and sad and create despair and a lack of hope and make you distressed and worried and freaked out about the world. And on this side of the scale is all the things that are wonderful and happy and inspiring and beautiful and that you just want to be present with in the moment because they're so gorgeous, like just smelling the roses, you know. And I said to her, well, where do you place your attention? And the thing about it is that if you spend a lot of time placing your attention right down here on the things that make you feel unhappy and full of despair, then your emotional state that arises as a result of where you're placing your attention is going to be full of unhappiness and despair and sadness and lack of hope and so on. And if you're placing your attention here on all the things about the world that are wonderful, if you're smelling the roses and just sucking in the marrow of life and saying, wow, this is amazing and this is beautiful, and not paying that much attention to the things that aren't serving you, then you've got the opportunity to have wonderful, excited and thrilled emotion. And it's really up to you. I mean, you're fully entitled to place your attention wherever you want to place your attention. But the emotional impact that it has on your life is the way that you feel in your life. And so when I explained this to her, it was really interesting because she probably spends 90% of her time in the despair of life, and she feels very despairing. She feels very unhappy about the state of the planet, about the state of the earth, about the state of her own life. And life is not joyful for her. And here's what's really interesting about that, which is what I was talking to her about specifically, was that when you're spending your time there and all of your conversation that results, never mind all of your emotional state, but even all of your conversation results from that place, then when I'm with you, you're taking me to the conversation of that place. You're putting my attention on that place. And when you put my attention on the negative all the time, then when I spend time with you, my emotional state also goes down. And if my emotional state goes down every time I spend time with you, you're not going to be on the top of my list of people to spend time with because you're going to bring me down. You're going to be what people call an energy vampire. You make me feel bad and sad and lacking in energy. So for the first time ever, this message came through to her that actually you bring me down when I spend time with you if you spend your time with your thoughts in that place. And the last thing she wants to do is have the people around her not want to spend time with her because her thinking is so emotionally distraught. And it was a really, really interesting experience for us because the result of that conversation was really powerful. She completely got it in that moment. And so it's not impossible to influence somebody else's thinking if they have fertile ground. And I hope that in some way this has lit a little light bulb in you and influenced your thinking. Where do you want to spend your time? Where do you want to spend your emotional state? And that has to do with where you put your attention. Where in your thinking you put in your attention. Have a wonderful day.